Hey, if you're prepping for a COMSEC exam, you've come to the right place. We're going to dive into a topic that is absolutely guaranteed to be on your test. Practices dangerous to security, or PDSs for short. Think of them as the small slip-ups that can cause some huge security headaches. You've got to know this stuff, not just for the exam, but for keeping sensitive info safe out in the real world. So you ready to get into it?
We've laid this out just like a study guide to make it super easy to follow. We're going to start with the basics, what is a PDS? Then we'll break down the two main types, reportable and non-reportable. After that, we'll dig into some real-world examples for each one. And to wrap it all up, we'll do a quick recap and hit some practice questions to make sure everything sticks.
Okay, first things first, let's get the big picture. What is a PDS really? Nailing this core concept is the foundation for, well, everything else we're about to cover.
So, let's ask the main question. What does practice dangerous to security actually mean? Let's pull apart the official definition. The two big things to pull out of this are potential to jeopardize and, if allowed, to perpetuate. It's kind of like a leaky faucet. One single drop of water isn't a flood, right? But if you ignore it, you are going to have a huge mess on your hands. A PDS is that first drip. It's a warning sign that you've got to fix before it turns into a major problem.
Exactly. PDSs are the yellow flags of the COMSEC world. They're your early warning system. By catching them and correcting them, you stop them from escalating into something way more serious, a full-blown COMSEC incident.
All right, so now we know what a PDS is. The next thing you have to know is that they come in two main flavors, non-reportable and reportable. And look, knowing the difference is absolutely critical because it completely changes what you have to do when you find one.
This slide lays it out perfectly. A non-reportable PDS? That's an in-house problem. You document it, you tell your commanding officer, and you fix your local procedures. It stays within the command. But a reportable PDS, that's a whole different ballgame. It has to be reported externally, up the chain, to a higher authority like NCMS because it might have much wider security implications. So let's dive into the first type, the one you're going to see most often, non-reportable PDSs. These are the issues you handle at home, right there within your own command. Let's look at a classic example straight out of the EKMS SC publication, Incomplete Accounting Reports. Seriously, this one comes up a lot. So what are we talking about here? Well, it's pretty much what it sounds like. Maybe an inventory log is missing a signature. Or maybe the information for a piece of gear isn't filled out all the way. It's a paperwork mistake, yeah, but it's one that could have real security consequences down the line. And why is a missing signature such a big deal? Because that signature is a link in the chain of custody. Proper accounting is literally the only way you can prove without a shadow of a doubt that all your sensitive COMSEC material is where it's supposed to be. If the paperwork's sloppy, your accountability is weak, period. And this right here, this is how you handle it. You don't just fix the form and move on. You have to formally document the PDS. This sample memo shows that official process. You write up what happened, you explain the situation, and you route it to the commanding officer. This creates that official paper trail showing the issue was found and is being fixed. Okay, let's shift gears and talk about the other category, reportable PDS. These are the ones that are too big to just handle locally. For these, you've got to call it in. Now, before we even get to an example, burn this number into your brain. It's a critical detail for any exam. According to Section 1010.a, all PDSs, doesn't matter if they're reportable or not, have to be documented or reported no later than 72 hours after you discover them. 72 hours. Got it? So, what kind of mistake is so serious that it has to be reported outside the command? Well, a perfect example is an erroneous destruction report. This is when there's a major disconnect between your records and actual reality. This is a massive deal, so listen up. If your paperwork says an item was destroyed but, whoops, it actually wasn't, that's not just a PDS anymore. It gets automatically upgraded to a COMSEC incident. This is a 5-alarm fire in the COMSEC world. And here's why it's so critical. This situation creates a ghost item. The central, national database thinks that item is gone forever, but you're still physically holding it. That is a gigantic security risk. You have to report it externally so the higher-level authorities can get into the master records and restore proper accountability for that item. All right, we have covered a ton of ground. Let's take a second to let it all sink in, and then we'll lock it all down with a quick recap and a few practice questions to get you totally ready for that exam. Okay, time for a rapid-fire recap. A PDS is a potential threat, A non-reportable PDS is handled inside your command. A reportable PDS is handled outside your command. A COMSEC incident is a confirmed security failure, and the magic number for reporting is 72 hours. You got it? Good. Let's test that knowledge.
All right, question number 1. Think about those two categories we discussed. What's the main thing, the fundamental difference that separates them? Okay, time for a scenario. Picture this. You find an accounting log and it's missing a signature. What kind of PDS is that, and what's your first move?
This one's just pure memorization, a key fact for your exam. What's that timeline again?
Okay, a little bit of a trickier one here. Think carefully. What happens in that erroneous destruction scenario we talked about?
Let's end on a final thought here. We've been way down in the weeds of regulations, but why does any of this really matter? How does something as small as a missing signature on a piece of paper connect to the overall mission? Well, the answer is that every tiny detail in COMSEC is about maintaining trust. Trust in our gear, trust in our procedures, and trust in each other. And that is the real reason we do all this. Thanks for sticking with me.